All right, folks, in this video, we have Beau Martonik breaking down his strategy for hunting big wood scrapes, how he monitors them with trail cameras, and everything else he does in order to find success in the big woods year after year in relation to scrapes. We hope you guys enjoy it. Here we go.
I'm out scouting in a location that I had found a scrape last year on a bench system. So it's just over the edge from the top of the hill on the edge of a good hemlock thicket. It looks like an old logging trail or road that goes down along the side here. And I had found where there looked like there used to be a scrape there, or at least there should have been a scrape there, but there was no licking branch available because some of the branches had broken down. So what I actually did was I took a limb from a tree and hung it up from one below and created its own licking branch and made a mock scrape out of it. So I took my boot and I cleared out all the ground and I applied some forehead gland scent to the branch to be able to run a camera. These are the type of locations that when I'm especially just trying to learn an area, when you have a great edge like this, you have a nice bench that they could be coming across, and with a bunch of trails that cross, I want to be able to have my camera at this specific location. Community scrapes are a place that all of the deer are using as a communication tool. They're rubbing their forehead glands, their preorbital glands, their saliva. They're rubbing all of that on that licking branch. The pawing of the ground is a part that I focus more on in October and November. It's the branch that's the key to these scrapes and why it's such a good tool all around. So I want to put those or find those in the best traveling areas at those different elevations. I either spray a preorbital gland or a forehead gland scent on that branch to help out with giving that scent there, so that the mature bucks, if they have any sort of dominance in them, or depending on their attitude, they really don't like other deer using it. So they want to leave their scent on there. I had an example this past year where this buck I was hunting, anytime I'd go freshen up that branch, he would be back. Well, actually, it wasn't just a branch. It was a branch and a signpost rub. I'd spray the forehead gland on that as well. The buck would be back within 24 hours every single time to freshen that up and absolutely just destroy the area. So that buck had a little bit more anger issues maybe, and testosterone levels were higher than some others, but it was just an interesting find by running these cameras. Trail cameras are really helpful for me for learning for future years, but it's not as much for that current year. It can be helpful, but I think I utilize that data more for the following year, unless I have an area that has cell reception and I can utilize cell cameras. So I use my Exodus render all of the time in most of the areas that I hunt. I only have cell reception on the tops of the hills or on that upper third, which many times is where I'm actually hunting at. So that's very helpful. By running that camera on that, you get in real-time data. So if it's during the early season, then you're able to see, okay, if you have it on a scrape that's leaving a bedding area heading to, say, a ridge that's full of acorns, you can kind of look at some patterns there to be able to help you apply it to, say, your weekend hunt or after work or whatever that might be. And then if it's during the rut or the pre-rut, you're starting to see as areas are heating up. Every place is just a little bit different. You could be 10 miles down the road and an area heats up differently. So you're able to say, okay, my camera here is setting off. Last night I had a bunch of bucks and I have a cold front coming through. Maybe that'll make them move in daylight. That's where that render can really help you, and that cell camera can really help you get that data to apply it right now during the season. These deer are a creature of habit. So if a buck was working a scrape in daylight one year between October 28th and 30th, look at the weather, look at all that stuff, and pay attention to those areas in future years. That might be a spot you want to hunt because it was getting hot around that time of year. So when I'm running cameras on public land, or really this can be applied to even on private land, but all of my cameras, I have the camera itself, and then I also utilize a Python lock. I want to lock everything in the tree and protect my investment and protect that data that I have. If I'm running a cell camera, then I'll just use one of these big Python locks and run it through the back of the camera here. to be able to lock it to the tree. If I'm running a regular camera, then I want to get a smaller Python lock and be able to run it around the tree and then through this. So then the spot here that opens up the hatch so no one can steal your SD card, because I've had that happen more times than actually having the camera itself stolen. It is pretty nice that with Exodus cameras, you have the 5-year warranty that also helps out with if you were to have them stolen, unfortunately. But it's a nice add-on. But for me, I'd rather, I don't want to lose the data just as much as losing the camera. So I make sure I always lock all of that up. How I organize all of my SD cards, I just carry one of these little things I bought off of Amazon. I keep the SD cards in there so that I have them nice waterproof, they don't get ruined. And then I have a whole entire thing of keys for all of my cameras. I would recommend buying Python locks that are all keyed the same from the beginning if you're starting out or trying to freshen up with locks, because you won't have to carry these many keys at one time. I like to use one single climbing stick to be able to get my camera up high enough off the tree. This isn't used in all scenarios, but I use it especially in areas where I think it might be easily visible to other hunters that could steal it, or if you're in an area that has a lot of black bears, that'll deter them from trying to get up there and messing with your camera. You just got to make sure when you put the camera up that you put something behind it to angle it down so that it's making sure to get what you're focused on.